families should be formed on the foundation's passage, packages for them. Navigating dual citizenship, understanding the legal importance, implications, tax benefits, and potential pitfalls of holding dual citizenship. 2, doing business in Ghana. To explore investment opportunities, regulatory framework, and best practices for setting up setting up and running business in Ghana. Diaspora engagements and impacts. Discuss strategies to maximize the diasporan contribution to Ghana's economy. So social development, addressing challenges identified and address the common challenges faced by diasporan, such as bureaucratic hurdles, cultural barriers, and property rights issues. My dear participants, we have to come and participate. We all have to be active and participate in this webinar for us to be able to network with fellow diasporans, government officials, and business peacemakers. Gain valuable insights from industrial experts and peacemakers in Ghana. Then also contribute to the shaping the future of Ghana diaspora relations. We also have a package to explore opportunities to the fullest in Ghana and make a positive impact in Ghana. My dear diasporans, both local and abroad, we have laudable packages for dual citizenship. We are in collaboration with stakeholders who will make your arrival in Ghana a peaceful and a fruitful stay. If you have any business to do in Ghana, you have no problem. Gather Foundation has a lot, especially in farming and education. We have arable lands which are well packaged for committed participants. And don't forget, all these things we are doing is an NGO sponsoring it. And so your commitment will surely need a donation so that this foundation will forever run and continue to support you. We are interested in your welfare. There will be no frustration when you do the right thing. We are in touch with the institutions or stakeholders who will support your dual citizenship in Ghana, coming in terms with business, education, even settling in our communities. We have a lot of local communities who are ready to support you with whichever business you have in mind. Fellow citizens in diaspora and Ghana, don't look anywhere. Gather Foundation is there for you. We are forever ready. We have the men who are ready to support you go round the communities. The community members are peacemakers. We've been able to identify communities who are peacemakers and ever ready to support your business. Education is also our priority. We have the education now. People there, they are there to support every aspect of the, your pride, or every aspect of what you want to do when you come to Ghana. We are ever ready to support you. Gather Foundation is there for the diaspora and forever will be there to support whatever you do. Now, we have speakers now standing by. They are there to take us through all the main points I've raised up there. They will take you through so that when you come to Ghana, no, you do the right thing and everything you do is secured. You are safe. Dual citizenship is a way forward for everybody, whether you are in Ghana or abroad. You are most welcome to this laudable meeting without a problem. Fellow diasporans and my dear team members, I know you are all there to give the necessary support, and it has been a teamwork, and I know you'll be doing and you'll do it more. My dear diaspora, the citizens, the families, we have noble families, peacemakers, workers who are there, volunteers who are there to give you the necessary support. Commitment is our priority. We don't legal people are most welcome. We have all the government and the stakeholders who are ready to give us the necessary support. Looking at our foundation and what we believe in, supporting the diaspora communities or the families and the communities diaspora, we are there to give you or make you feel at home when you get to Ghana. You have the right to be in so many citizens of so many countries, but Ghana should be your priority. Ghana is our priority, where we have all the touring places you can visit. We have the land for your business, not traveling far before you get a place. We have the support from the government. All the stakeholders are there. Immigration service is there to give you the on arrival, how do you call it? Well, assistance, on arrival assistance, whichever way, so that we can enjoy your stay. On this note, I welcome you all to this noble or August webinar. Sit down and relax. On behalf of the foundation, I say you are welcome. The webinar is open. Our facilitators are there to start. On this note, I hand over to our technical men to take over and we proceed. Thank you. Thank you so much for participating. After, there will be time for questions, for anything. If there is any challenge you want to, just listen to our speakers. So after that, you ask your question, and then we'll be able to take care of you. Thank you. I'm done. Hey, Fred. I want to know.
Hello.
Yeah, you can speak.
Great. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Is that the case? That I can be heard? Because I've still been wondering whether, my voice is coming through. But in the background, I've spoken to the organizer, and my understanding is that, yes, I'm coming through. I thought I needed a feedback to enable me to know that, yes, it is on this forum. Whatever the case might be, I just want to say how grateful I am that this opportunity has been given to me and to the office, and more specifically to the government, to really state our position clearly on the matter of this importance. And dual citizenship, as we know, is a reality in Ghana. That is something that most people enjoy. A lot of Ghanaians, the diaspora community that we have had opportunity to live outside, to have the citizenship of other countries, and to be able to also maintain the citizenship that they have of Ghana. And that basically gives them that dual citizenship opportunities. For a host of others who are yet to be, take up the citizenship of either, say, Ghana, or who are living outside and are yet to adopt the citizenship of other countries. Basically, I think this forum is ideally suitable for those who want to know what will be the benefits and what are the things that they have to do in respect of, being a dual citizen. I think the Dual Citizenship Act clearly defines the rules and the regulations that enables one to become a dual citizen. First, after our Republic proclamation, we entered into this regime. There was no originally no acceptance of dual citizenship, and then subsequently, an act has been there to make it possible for dual citizens to be acceptable in Ghana. So by dual citizenship, we mean the citizenship that you have of Ghana and any other country. I believe some people might not just be a case of even dual citizenship, but multiple citizenship. Whatever the case might be, the fact remains that you have the Ghanaian citizenship and the other citizenship of another country. And we as a government have been able to encourage this and are looking forward to even making it better going forward, because there are still issues related to the dual citizenship, which is that our constitution has got a limitation on the role that a dual citizenship can play in the country. There are some government positions that one is not, and the public servant positions that one is not able to, occupy once you become a dual citizen, all on the basis of allegiance. That is the issue that some hold against the dual citizenship beneficiaries, of not being entirely, allegiant to the country, depending on what level of service that they want to provide. But I don't think this is the topic for today. The topic for today is how, if you want to do business in Ghana, what a dual citizenship means for you. And essentially, in a nutshell, it means that you basically, other than the restrictions that have been imposed, you have the same rights as a, and that's even in terms of business ownership. You have every right to own the 100% business of your own and enjoy the privileges that come with being a Ghanaian, just like any other Ghanaian. I think you can tell about how important this is, given the fact that even for countries that do not originally allow for dual citizenship are making every effort to regularize that, because the idea of a dual citizenship is not just a case of what Ghana has offered, but also in case of what other countries can offer you that enables you to have that citizenship and that of Ghanaian citizenship as well. I think I want to bring a case in point of, say, until recently, Germany was, for instance, not allowing for dual citizenship of those who are Ghanaians and those who are Germans. But having all the sort of lobbying in the background and meetings of government officials of Germany and the Germans, Ghanaians living in Germany, always bringing pressure to bear on us to see what can be done about it. I'm happy to say that this situation has been resolved, and that even Ghanaians living in Germany have the opportunity to become dual citizens. And it is essentially because of the relevance and the importance that these countries realize that if you are a dual citizen, you really have the opportunity to not just have the network in both countries pulled together to, do whatever you want to do. But in addition, the rules and regulations and, that enable you to operate in both, sovereign countries are there for you to explore. And that is what, we are looking to take advantage of as dual citizens. And I'm happy that this conference has been put together. This forum gives us an opportunity to really put it under the microscope to enable us to see how best, we can look at it and or advise those who want to take advantage of it, take advantage of it. I think this is what I have to say for now, but I believe this platform is the right place to discuss this, and I'm glad that the organizers have chosen to give the opportunity to speakers to speak to this issue and let people know as much as possible what it means to be a dual citizen. And thank you for the opportunity, and I remain here for any further discussions. Thank you.
For your laudable presentation. We wait for questions from the participants. questions from the participants. Hello? I hope you can hear me. Hello?
Can. I hope others can as well.
Okay. Thank you. So let's give them some time for questions before we move on. Okay. Maybe the questions will come at the end of the meeting. So, can I use this opportunity to invite our dear sister, Madam Abigail from Immigration, to take over? Thank you.
Hello? Hello, can you all hear me, please? Hello? 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 Oh, that's the kind of person. I want to be sure they can hear me. Hello? Please, can anyone hear me? Okay. Hello, good morning, everyone. I've just been informed you can all hear me, and that's great. Thank you for the opportunity to make a contribution on this very important topic. The previous speaker has already elaborated on the importance of dual nationality, and so I'll not belabor the point. My task today is to speak on the steps one needs to go through to apply for citizenship in Ghana. Let me also say that from your end, if you're not a Ghanaian, then yes, you're going to apply to be a dual national. Our dual nationality dispensation, from my perspective or from where I sit, would usually be for those, a Ghanaian who wants to acquire a second or third nationality to his Ghanaian nationality. So as an immigration officer, when an application comes before me, it would usually be an application of a foreigner who wants to acquire Ghanaian citizenship in addition to his already existing citizenship or nationality, as the case. So having said that, I would proceed. In Ghana, the previous speaker has already elaborated or mentioned that the 1992 Constitution is one of the main law that speaks to dual citizenship. Now, the law has also, the Constitution mandated Parliament to now come out with specifics when it comes to applying for Ghanaian citizenship. So we have the Citizenship Act 2000 at 591 and its regulations, which is the Citizenship Regulations 2001 LI 1690. So there are three main ways through which a person can obtain Ghanaian citizenship otherwise than by birth. So that if you're not considered, or if you're not born in Ghana, or you're not necessarily born in Ghana, but if you're not, the constitution or the laws do not classify you or consider you as a person, a Ghanaian by birth, what are the other ways by which you could obtain Ghanaian citizenship? Okay, so the first is adoption. A child of not more than 16 years, whose parents, of course, are not Ghanaians, can apply and is adopted by a Ghanaian parent or Ghanaian citizen, would then become a Ghanaian by virtue of that adoption. The other two ways, which I'm going to delve into more detail, are by registration and naturalization. Now, registration in Ghana is usually, so there are two main ways apart from adoption. Usually, and in practice, is for persons who are married to Ghanaian spouses. So it's either the man is married to a Ghanaian wife, or the wife is married to a Ghanaian husband. The process begins at the Ministry of Interior. We have forms. The forms are available. You purchase and then complete. There are required documentation that are supposed to be attached when submitting the forms at the Ministry of Interior. I'll go through shortly. Once those are submitted, the law requires the minister to forward to Ghana Immigration Service. That's where we come in to actually investigate, vet the applicants to be sure that everything is authentic and that the person or the applicant duly qualifies. So when it comes to marriage, the first thing we look at is the marriage certificate. Are you truly married? When did you get married? Are there children in the marriage? And all of that. So the marriage certificate is the main documentation that is supposed to be attached to your forms. Then we also have if the person is employed, then you would also want to see the personal tax clearance certificate of such a person and the birth certificate of the Ghanaian spouse, as well as copies of his biodata page of his passport, if that's available. And then also would then come to the applicant, the biodata page of the applicant's passport, as well as his permits. If he's on permits, would take copies of that, and then his disembarkation and embarkation stamps. When you are coming into the country and when you are leaving, Ghana Immigration Service would usually put a stamp in your passport, so we take copies of that as well. So when it comes to registration, it's quite simple and not cumbersome because it's by virtue of your marriage to a Ghanaian. And so usually there are not much issues once you have the requisite documentation. So I'll quickly move on to naturalization, which I believe most of you would fall under. When it comes to naturalization, the law sets out quite a list of qualifications or factors that should be considered to qualify you to apply for naturalization to become a citizen of Ghana. Now, the first consideration that the law talks about, and this is section 14 of the Citizenship Act 2000, is that the person has resided in Ghana throughout the period of 12 months immediately preceding the date of the application. So the requirement here is that we are in 2024. So that if you want to apply or if you wanted to apply for citizenship through naturalization, 12 months, so we're in November, so we would calculate 12 months backwards, which would be November 2023. From November 2023 to November 2024, you ought to have resided continuously in the country for 12 months. This is a very onerous requirement and obligation on the applicant. So in practice, we appreciate the fact that applicants may have business meetings and engagements, or probably even visiting family and all of that. So we don't insist on the 12 months continuous stay. Usually considerations are made, but at least in aggregate, you ought to have resided maybe about 9 months in aggregate. So it shouldn't even be continuous. So you can travel in and out for a week or two and all of that. So that's that for. So maybe when I'm done and there are questions, I can take that. The next requirement is that during the 7 years immediately preceding the period of 12 months, the person has resided in Ghana for periods amounting in the aggregate to not less than 5 years. So this means that we started our calculation from November 2023. Okay. So from November 2023, counting backwards or calculating backwards to 7 years. So 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020, and that gives us that takes us to about 2016, if my calculation is right. So 7 years from 2023. The law is saying that you ought to have resided in aggregate not less than 5 years. You know, it is looking at it's trying to glean your intention of residing permanently in Ghana, so that if in aggregate, calculating from that 7 years, you haven't resided in Ghana for at least 5 years, then it's as though you really are not serious about being in Ghana. So usually, you'd have people traveling in and out, but in aggregate, we look at 5 years from that 7 years. Okay. The next is that the person should be of good character, and it should be attested by 2 Ghanaians. And usually in practice, what we do is it's part of the form. If you purchase either the naturalization or the registration forms, there's a place for sponsorship for 2 Ghanaians. And those sponsors are supposed to would indicate how long they have known you, and whether you are a law-abiding citizen, you have, and all of that. And then they actually go ahead to write a letter attesting to your good character and why they think we should consider you for citizenship of Ghana, to grant you citizenship of Ghana. And the persons usually eligible for this, the law sets out, but it's quite a wide range. But you look at it, it is professionals like lawyers, medical doctors, chartered accountants, senior public officers. You have officers of the Ghana Armed Forces, not below the rank of Lieutenant Colonel or its equivalent in other security institutions. So at least you should be able to get 2 Ghanaians, judges, notaries public, who are also lawyers anyway. So that satisfies it. So you should be able to get at least 2 Ghanaians who fall within this category to sponsor and attest to your good character. The next is that the person, the applicant should not have been sentenced to any period of imprisonment in Ghana or anywhere for an offense recognized by law in Ghana. So usually another requirement for us in Ghana, we won't be able to tell whether we'll just ask you, but the due diligence we can do in Ghana is to request that you do a police, to go for police checks, and then they would issue you with a police report that would actually confirm that you haven't been imprisoned or convicted of any offense, criminal offense in Ghana. Then very important requirement is that the applicant is able to speak and understand an indigenous Ghanaian language. So in Ghana, we have, several languages, over 40, I know. There's no restriction on which particular one, but at least you should be able to speak and understand at least just one. We realize that in our considerations, mostly it's the Tree language because it's widely spoken. So we do a few basic questioning and all of that just to ascertain whether you're able to understand an indigenous language. Okay. The next is that the applicant is a person who has made or is capable of making a substantial contribution to the progress or advancement in any area of national activity. I would say that this is the most important consideration or qualification for naturalization. And we are looking at, so it's either you have made a substantial contribution or you are capable of making. So if you are capable of making, of course, you'd have to prove to us. And the law puts the burden of proof on the applicant or the person applying to become a Ghanaian that he qualifies. So if you say you are capable or you have contributed substantially, then you would have to provide evidence. From my office, what we look at basically is what investments you have made. Now, the investments could take the form of monetary investment into the economy. We also look at health investments into the health sector or educational sector. It's not limited, but these are a few of the kind of investments. So, for instance, if you'd have medical doctors who come into the country, probably get into a rural area or somewhere, and they are taking care of Ghanaians, helping them with their health needs and healthcare and all of that. And that is something we could consider. You have professors and academics who come into the country to do research, help our educational system, lecture, and all of that. So these are also the kind of investments that we look at. When it comes to business investments, these are we usually would request for your company registration documentation. That is, if then we presume that you may have incorporated a company. And then also we would look at your tax clearance certificates. That is, if the business, because we remember that you ought to have resided at least for 8 years, because 1 year, which is the 12 months continuous stay in the country, and also the 7 months, the 7 years prior to that 12 months. So we're looking at a period of 8 years. So we would look at your tax clearance, as in the corporate, that's the company tax clearance certificate. Look at how much the company is paying as taxes. And then we look at your personal, as an applicant, your personal tax clearance certificate as well. How much have you paid in terms of taxes in Ghana? Then we also look at the SNIT clearance certificates, which would tell us how many people the company has employed, whether you are paying for their social securities and all of that. That's also another important thing we look at. Then, of course, your sponsors. The sponsors are both for naturalization and registration. And then we would also look at so basically these are the main and critical things we look at. You look at your GIPC certificate, whether it's valid. I've already mentioned police clearance certificate and then a host of others. So these are all the due diligence we usually do to ascertain whether this person has, and of course, sometimes corporate social responsibilities or personal social responsibilities. We want to see your activities in that area as well. Now, the next is also whether the person has been assimilated into the Ghanaian way of life or somebody. So when you present your forms at the Ministry of Interior together with the supporting documents, it's brought to Ghana Immigration Service, and then our enforcement team would invite you, interview you, if need be, pay visits to your company and all of that, request for all the necessary documentations. And it is through this engagement that we are able to tell whether you have assimilated into the Ghanaian way of life or otherwise. And then also we would look whether you have the intention to permanently reside in Ghana. And like I said earlier, this intention would be gleaned from your the length of your stay in Ghana, you know, and also whether you possess a valid residence permit at the time of application. So these are the main considerations that the law sets out when you want to apply for citizenship through naturalization. However, the law has given the minister a lot of powers, such that the minister, in special circumstances that he deems fit, may waive all of these requirements. The only exception that cannot be waived is the ability to speak and understand an indigenous language. That's the only exception that the law has made. But the minister has very wide powers to vary or waive uh, or even add to the requirements. And so at this point, when Ghana Immigration Service is done with all of its vetting, investigation, and all, we put together a report and forward the report either with our recommendations, either recommending that you should be considered or otherwise. And then we put all of that together with a file and forward to the Ministry of the Interior. At the Ministry of the Interior, I really cannot speak into the details of what goes on there. But what I can say is that once they approve of your application, then the list is compiled to the presidency because when it comes to citizenship, the law it is the president that has the power to approve, the ultimate power to approve for a person to become a citizen of Ghana, either through registration or naturalization. And when that is done, once approval is given, the Ministry of the Interior would usually contact you at an appropriate time and for you to take the oath of allegiance, swear you in as a Ghanaian. And then upon that, you're issued with a certificate of citizenship, either through naturalization or registration. So that is in short or in brief the summary of the steps that one needs to go through as an applicant if you want to apply to become a Ghanaian. I think I've covered almost everything, but I'll be happy to take questions or clarify anything that I have said that is not okay. Thank you very much.
For your wonderful presentation. We now call on Mr. Gruche for, okay, let's wait for some few minutes for our participants to ask questions. We give them questions and answers time. We're waiting for them to give us questions and answers. I hope Madam Abigail will give us some few minutes to respond.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us try to be a bit interactive, those of us on board, please. Okay. Hello. Okay. If there are no questions for now, then we'll let Madam Abigail rest. Then, after the whole show, maybe some people will come up with questions that will be to her to respond. Thank you, Madam Abigail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At the risk of sounding very repetitive, I hope everybody can hear me. I'm sure you can. My name is Sheikh Kluche. I am standing in for the head of the Diaspora Investment Desk, who is Miss Marina Lamte. Unfortunately, due to a few urgent government business, she's unable to join us. I'll try my best to do justice to the topic as she would have preferred and loved to do. I have a presentation. I don't know if the team can put it up, but since nobody used the presentation, I don't know if maybe I'll speak to it and then possibly share it with the audience via email if the organizers will permit. Thank you so very much to the foundation, the Geda Foundation, for putting this together. My presentation will focus mainly on the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, our work, and also doing business and business opportunities in Ghana. I will touch briefly about our mandate. I will zero in on a few business opportunities, and then I'll piggyback off of the previous speakers and talk about setting up in Ghana. And then I'll tell you about some of our requirements and incentives. And then hopefully, if you have any questions, I can answer them. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center is the premier investment promotion agency established by an act of parliament. Our role is simply to promote, coordinate, and facilitate investment into the Ghanaian economy. Pretty simple, I hope. Our functions include investment advisory services, registration of new projects, renewal of registered companies, diaspora engagement, monitoring of enterprises that are registered, aftercare services, registration of TTAs, and there's a long list, negotiation of bilateral investment treaties, etc., etc. But in all of this, we are not an island. We don't work in a silo. If you heard Chief Supo speak about some of the work, she kept referencing the GIPC certificate or GIPC. So yes, we do have a list of institutions that we collaborate with, from the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ghana Immigration Service, Diaspora Affairs Office at the Office of the President Director spoke earlier, Ghana Free Zones Authority, Standards Authority, Office of the Registrar of Companies, etc., etc. And what I mean to say by this is, if you get in touch with the GIPC as a Ghanaian or a diaspora who's looking to do business in Ghana, you'll get access. So I may not have all the answers, as I always say during these interactions, to all your questions about food and drugs issues, phytosanitary issues for your export products. But what I do have is a contact, a connection to the Food and Drugs Authority or the Ghana Standards Authority who can answer those questions. And that's what we as investment promotion agencies provide. But in all of this, it's really about Ghana and what Ghana has to offer you, an investor, from our very, very well-educated and endowed human resource to, of course, there's a plethora of evidence, a litany of literature on our natural resources, from cocoa, the minerals, the forest reserves, etc., etc. But a few of our priority sectors as an agency, we focus on agro-processing, that is value addition and processing of farm produce. And we really, really piggyback off of the planting for food and jobs, which seeks to really take Ghana from a subsistence level of farming to a more mechanized and industrialized level. Also, irrigation, provision of irrigation services, piggybacking off of the One Village, One Dam. And of course, these are all under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. And I bring this up because there is a need for you to, one, get in touch with the sector-specific agency, because they would have information, sector profile, sector reviews that will give you the right information to make an informed decision. When you are done with that, then of course we are next. Also, manufacturing is big. One district, one factory, bauxite, iron ore, gold processing, pharmaceuticals, textiles, cocoa processing, infrastructure in terms of schools, hospitals, bridges, roads, airports, etc., railway, waterways. And last but not least is tourism. From the theme parks, there's quite a number of them popping up, ecotourism, hospitality centers and hotels, and of course, cultural tourism, which is heritage tourism, I should say, which is really, really big on their agenda. Now, how do you set up a business in Ghana? I just told you why Ghana is great. I just gave you a few of the priority sectors. Now you want to set up in Ghana. The first thing you need to do is to register the company with the Office of the Registrar of Companies. They'll give you a certificate, a TIN number, company registration documentation to commence business. When you have that in hand, then you need to check if you satisfy the minimum equity contribution. I'll talk about that briefly. When you satisfy that, then you come to registration with the GIPC. Now, if all your documents are in check, it will take you less than 5 days to get your company registered with us. What is minimum equity requirements or contributions? Now, joint ventures in Ghana with Ghanaian partners are encouraged. Ideally, that's what we aim for. That all our foreign investors, all our diaspora investors get into business with Ghanaians. That is what is desired. However, we do allow for 100% foreign participation in terms of 100% of the company being owned by a foreign entity, be it a company, be it an individual. Now, for equity, that is how much you need to show me that you are about to invest in the country. For a joint venture with a Ghanaian partner, you need to show me $200,000. Not cash only. It could be cash or machines and equipment. And then for the Ghanaian partner, especially for the joint venture, the Ghanaian partner must have 10%. Now, for 100% foreign ownership, in terms of the entire company is owned by an individual who is not a Ghanaian yet, who has not gone through the process that Chief Supo put out, then you need to show me $500,000, which is either cash or machine and equipment. If it is cash, it means that it has to go through the banking system. You open a bank account, you put in that money, and then that money can be converted into CDs and then used in the economy. Then I can take it off and say, yes, you satisfy the minimum equity contribution. If it is plant and machines and equipment, then you have to have a customs way bill that will show that that is the worth of the goods or the machines that you are bringing in. Now, if it's for a general trading activity, mostly buying and selling, you need to show me $1 million. You need to employ at least 20 skilled Ghanaians. But this is not all. There are some few exceptions. Portfolio investment, that is investments that are done on the stock market. You don't want to see minimum equity requirements. For manufacturing and export trade enterprises, you don't want to see minimum equity requirements. Also, if you are the foreign spouse of a citizen of Ghana, this does not apply to you. And lastly, if a citizen acquires a second citizenship of another country and so doing loses the citizenship of Ghana, the person does not need to show me minimum equity requirements. Now, what are some of the incentives that we provide in terms of when you register with us? Guarantee against expropriation. That means that if you are duly registered with the GIPC, conducting your lawful, legal business, no government entity in this country can forcibly seize your company from you. Not done. There are some customs duty exemptions on plant, machinery, and equipment under the Exemptions Act, which is now domiciled with the Ministry of Finance. Also, full repatriation of dividends and net profits, transfer of funds in respect of servicing foreign loans, transfer of funds after liquidation. So in other words, we do not hold you ransom with your money. If everything is in check, all your documentation is in check, you are allowed to transfer money, repatriate money back home. Now, one of the things we also provide in collaboration with the Ghana Immigration Service is immigrant quotas. Some of the jobs you intend to undertake, you may need 1 or 2 skilled workers that you may not find here in Ghana, you want to bring in from abroad. Depending on the level of investment, that is declared investment in your application form, these are the number of persons that you should be able to bring in on work permits. There are also some time-bound work permits. This is not my forte. Ghana Immigration Service work hand in hand with them to provide some work permits after you've done your automatic immigrant quota. Some of them you may need more, so we give you a specific time, bring them in, and they can assist you in your job. Also, very interesting for me would be locational incentives. Now, these are the incentives that are derived for agro-processing companies, depending on where they are located. First off, if you're an agro-processing company, for your first 5 years, you pay 1%. That is, if you're agro-processing, use agricultural raw materials as your main input, 5% concessionary, 1% for 5 years. Now, after the 5 years, do you revert to the corporate tax? Depending on where you're located. If you're in Accra and Tema, is 20%. Other regional capitals, except the upper northern regions, 15%. If you're outside the regional capitals, it's 10%. If you're in the 5 northern regions, it's 5%. I guess the question is, why am I zeroing in on only agro processing? Is there something else for the rest of us? Yes, I'm the gift that gives on giving. I'll give you something more. So this table talks about an activity, concessionary tax rates for the number of years and what it reverts to when you are done. If you're going to tree crop farming, 1% for 10 years from start of operation. Cash crop, 1% for 5 years. Cattle farming, 1% for 10 years. Income from a cocoa byproduct business, 1% for 5 years. Income from a company from a waste processing business, 1% from 7 years. The income of a venture capital financing, 1% for 10 years. That means that if your declared activity, if your modus operandi, if your business is in any of these places, this is the concessionary tax rate you get for these number of years. Because the government of Ghana understands that these sectors are ripe for investment. We need more investment in these sectors. That's why we are giving these concessionary rates. Now, one thing too that we do is you can carry forward your losses. Some in specific priority sectors, 5 years. In other areas, 3 years. Now, for manufacturing companies, Accra, Tema, 25% of the corporate rate. If it's elsewhere, it is 50% off. But there may be some of you who have, some savings, some connections to large sums of money that we will term as strategic investors. Now, those people, we actually invite to the table to discuss how best we can assist them. And these are investments upwards of $50 million. And once again, under the Exemptions Act, which is domiciled in the Ministry of Finance, we sit down and we negotiate. So in a nutshell, this is what we do at the GIPC. We assist you to set up in this country. We provide aftercare services. We provide monitoring evaluation services. And these are some of the things you can get if you invest in Ghana. So as my CEO always say, come grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana. Thank you very much. I'm sure the applause is deafening, but unfortunately I cannot hear you. I will take a few questions if you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Gruche. I hope you can give us some time, maybe after the whole presentation. Some of the questions were sent on a chat form so that we'll read and then we'll refer them to the possible facilitators for them to respond. So please, you can thank so much for now. You stand aside and then we invite our next speaker, Madam Matilda, on the next topic. Thank you. Thank you. Madam Matilda will be speaking on registration of companies. So we are humbly waiting for Madam Matilda. Thank you. Hello, us. My dear participants, as we wait for Madam Matilda, can I start reading some of the questions sent to us so that you can respond to? There you go. Okay. Madam Amina asked, what is the process and the cost of dual citizenship? The cost. So this goes to Madam Abigail. No, yeah. The cost.
Hello. Yes. So with the cost, the last time I checked at the interior, registration was 3,000 cedis. That's the forms, and
Okay.
naturalization 6,000 cedis. And in fact, that's really the only thing you need to. Once you purchase the forms, the rest of the process kicks in. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one is let me check. From Lawrence Bruce. I am curious as to how much it will cost to start a business in Ghana. So, Mr. Kruche, this is for Mr. Kruche. How much it will cost to start business in Ghana? This is to Mr. Kruche.
Okay. Well, there's no fixed amount of money that you need to start a business. It all comes down to the type of business that you want to undertake. However, if, like I pointed out, if you are registering and your company has foreign participation, let me explain. If you register a company at the Office of the Registrar of Companies, they would ask you who the directors are. If any of the directors is not a Ghanaian, that means that your company has foreign participation. If that is the case, then you need to show the minimum equity contribution. That means to say that you need to show me your 200,000 in their cash or plant and machines if it's a joint venture, or 500,000 or a million, so on and so forth. However, that does not mean that you need $200,000 to start that particular business. That is just the law's requirements for you to show how much you are investing. For example, if you were to start a car importation business because you believe that you have a good deal abroad, the car would cost, let's say, $5,000 to buy. It will cost $2,000 to ship to come here. It will cost $1,000 to clear. That is $8,000 just to start your car business, which is not in my purview to say. It's really more down to the research. And there are other factors that go into the amount of money to need. However, I really wish the Mrs. Osei was on the call to let you know maybe the fees involved in registering a company. After you register the company, then you go into the costing of that business. I hope I have answered the question, Mr. Ross.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kruche. Now, please, may I know if Madam Matilda is ready? Okay, then I proceed.
Okay.
Okay, Madam Matilda.
Yes. Good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Yeah. Good afternoon. Can I proceed? Okay.
welcome.
Okay, my name is Matilda Osei from the Office of the Registrar of Companies. And because time is fast spent, I will proceed because I wasn't hearing, getting the feedback. So basically, the Office of the Registrar of Companies is a new but old institution because it has been hived from the Registrar General's department that we all knew about 58 years ago. So on 23rd July 2022, the hive was done and launched at Kempinski by the president. So currently, the Office of the Registrar of Companies is there to register businesses, regulate, and then educate the public. Basically, that is what we do. In addition, we also see to the liquidation of companies. That is, if a company is not doing well, the administration of it, the restructuring, and then following to the liquidation of the company. So basically, we do this aspect compared to when we were with the Registrar General that we're adding marriages, estate administration, and other things to company registration. So basically, this is what we do. And if you want to register a company, wherever you are, you can even register online, provided you have your tax identification number, which you need your passport or your Ghana card to do that registration. When you have your TIN number, you can go on our portal and then you can register and register the company with your partners. So you need to have a name in mind, at least 3 names on a scale of preference. The name should not be misleading or undesirable. That is the company's name. And if you are a foreigner, as the GIPC man was speaking about, you need to meet the minimum equity. There are a few changes that will be done, but I think it's not conclusive yet. So for now, if you are doing registering and you are in trading, import and export, you have to start with something like $1 million as your foreign equity, because you need to pay the stamp duty at the Office of the Registrar of Companies. If it's a service industry without a Ghanaian as a shareholder, it's $500,000 as your minimum equity, CD equivalent. If it's joint venture with a foreigner and a Ghanaian in service industry, then the equity is $200,000 for the foreigner. And then that is what you pay the stamp duty on as a foreigner. Representing 90%, then the 10%, the Ghanaian will pay that. If you are a Ghanaian and you want to register, every indigenous Ghanaian can start the business with 500 Ghana cedi. It's allowed. If it's a sole proprietorship, you're a foreigner, or you're a Ghanaian and you're in the diaspora and you want to register a sole proprietorship, you're a Ghanaian, it's allowed. You can register your business. And you don't need any minimum equity. You can do what we call the sole proprietorship or the business name regulated by the Business Name Act. 2 people can also register what we call the partnership incorporated. Normally, you prepare a partnership agreement, execute it at Land Valuation Board, and then you add it to the registration document, and then you can proceed with the registration. We also register charitable organizations, NGOs, companies that don't have the aim to make profit. We do register them. Unless the company is being wound up and then the people have to contribute to a certain amount to close it or give it to another similar charitable organizations. With that one, there's no minimum equity. You just have to pay for the registration fee for registration of churches, charitable organizations, and all that. So basically, these are the registration that foreigners can do. Besides that, or Ghanaians residing or domiciling in other jurisdictions. Besides that, we have another registration called external companies. External companies are companies that have their branch registered or their parent company is registered in another jurisdiction, but they want to have a liaison office or a branch in Ghana. So the company, most of the airlines are external companies. So the companies are registered in the parent company, but they just want to have a branch because of their modus operandi or how they want to be seen. So such companies, you need to provide us with the registration documents. If it's not in English, it needs to be in English, translated, notarized by the Ghana Mission or any notary republic from where the company was incorporated. It is very cogent to us because when companies are registered in other jurisdictions, we don't have the eagle eye to see. Maybe they are even in liquidation, maybe they've been involved in other scam, maybe anything, and they want to rush and then come and invest in Ghana. So we are careful with that, and then we always demand that notary, or if it's an American company, the document can be brought to American embassy. If it's a UK, I mean, wherever authentication can be done before the document is brought to us is very important to us. So that is done, and then they can complete the forms for registration. So basically, these are the types of entities that an individual, whether a Ghanaian or foreigner, or whether somebody have dual citizenship, because recently I've had about 3 Chinese, 3 Indians coming to our office to change their status of registration. They used to be Chinese, now they've stayed for more than 25 years. Some have married, and then now they have the dual citizenship, and then so they don't need that minimum equity to register their business, and it's allowed. So I can see the topic was more of the dual citizenship. So if you're a dual citizenship and your everything is gone through, you can register just like any normal indigenous Ghanaian can register. You can even have a sole proprietorship if that's what you want, as a form of one of the registration. So you can register that. So we need the name, as I said, the name of your business. You give us 3 names on the scale of preference. A search will be conducted. You can even do it yourself, because sooner or later we'll be just going all out online. So everything have to be done online. So you need to check your name. And as I've said, I'm repeating it again, the name have to match very well with the nature of business. Some people register their businesses. And then you see that the registration that they've done, they said that Kwadwo Menu Construction. Under it, then they are telling you that they are doing fashion. So it doesn't gel. So the name should not be misleading or undesirable. Undesirable meaning you cannot just choose any name that you actually want. The name have to be a name that is accepted. Sometimes, if in a language that we don't understand, the registrar have the powers to ask you to interpret the name so that we know what the name actually means. You need to let us know where the business will be located. Sometimes the principal place of business might be different from where their office is. So let's say, for example, Anglo Gold Ashanti, they do their business at Obuasi, but the office is at Gold House. So if you have something like that, you need to state it on the form. In addition, some companies also have their register of members also situated in other places, same in Ghana here. So let's say Anglo Gold Ashanti, their principal place of business is at Obuasi, registered office is at Accra, Kaokudi. Register of members might be in Cape Coast. So when you are filling the forms, you need to state that as well. Of late, we do take digital address. So if you are registering and you don't have digital address, it's a problem to us. You need to stand very well on your compass so you can give us the accurate location for the digital address. Still, we do the postal address if it's the private mail bag, if it's the door-to-door, if it's the normal GPAS, you have to complete it. Somebody will say GM. Let us know, maybe it's Mamprobi, GP, General Post Office, AN, Accra North. So we want those kind of vivid direction, even with the postal address. Then we also need accurate telephone numbers. People give us numbers, you realize that one letter is missing. And we need this because of notification. Companies do register and then they say they don't get notification, because if you don't give us the accurate address, you might not get any notification. We want to communicate with companies as much as we can. So that is also important. Then we also need to know, if it's a company, the directors. The directors are those who are going to do the mundane work for the company. They do what the shareholders are interested. So the minimum directors that a company may need to register a company is minimum of 2 by law. That is what the law says. Minimum of 2 directors you can register a company. You need a company secretary. A company secretary should not just be any other person. Section 211 and 212 of the Act 992, that's the Companies Act, shows who qualifies to be a company secretary. So a company secretary should be somebody, either a professional, a lawyer, a chartered accountant, or a company lawyer, a company law trainee, somebody who have been trained, or you belong to a professional body, and then you should be in good standing, and then you should be, of course, morally sound. So, and then the person should also be sound in mind. So the qualities or the qualification of the secretary, it should also be legible. Companies can also play the role of secretary. So a company can be the company secretary of a company. It's also allowed. Just that it have to be represented by a human being. Now, companies, when you want to register, you need an auditor, external auditor who will prepare your accounts. After the first 18 months, you need to have your AGM, or the registrar can compel you so much to have your AGM. It's important that you have your AGM. Shareholders will see the accounts, they will agree, and then they will sign. Then you file the accounts with us when you've registered and you've gotten your certificates. So auditors are important. Besides auditors, when you are filling the forms, now we have a form called statutory declaration. The statutory declaration is the mandatory form, because you are going to tell us that you've not been involved in crime for the last 5 years as a company director. So the statutory declaration forms, we've made it in a way that you need to take. So you just take the company registration forms, you need to take them, and then you will just admit it. And then the consent as a director. Now we've designed everything, so all that you have to do is to print it, and then you need to complete the form, the consent form as a director, giving your own consent to be a director of a company. So that have to also be done, and then you can do that. And then the shareholding structure, you have to also let us know who the shareholders are. In fact, we don't come in, you are registering your company, so you tell us how you are going to run the company, and we'll be the custodian of that information. Make sure you are legalized. We legalize you, we give you certificate of incorporation, and then we give you a Form 3, the company constitution. Those days used to be regulation. And with the company constitution, we have two arms of it. We have the registered constitution, and then we have the standard. Some people, by law, you need directors. You say minimum of 2 directors, maximum of 5. Somebody want to go above, so you need to state your own directors, the number that you want, and then you need to prepare your own standard constitution. We'll admit it. If there are, normally the first 10 constitution is normally the same, but from there, in terms of meeting proxy, other people want to change it to fit their system. So with that one, we allow you to bring your own registered constitution. What we do is that we admit it, we scan it into our system, and then we reproduce it for you. It's not because you have your own constitution, so you keep your own constitution. It's not allowed. We have to see it, we have to admit it, and then we will reproduce what you have for you with a stamp or a watermark logo, so that you can use it and it will be admitted by other institutions. So these are also needed. Besides that, as a company, you need to have your equity, the amount you are starting your business with. If it's all done by Ghanaians and it's not a specialized business where they will tell you that your equity have to be this way, like let's say a bank. If you want to open a Bank of Ghana expect that you have the minimum equity for bank. If it's not something like that and it's something generic, with 500 Ghana cedi, you can start a business. 500 Ghana cedi, you can start a business. That is the equity. You need that equity to start the business. So that is allowed. So once you have the equity, you let us know the authorized shares, out of it, what you want to issue to the shareholders. You state all with the consideration. So all these things have to be done. And then when everything is complete, then you can pay the statutory fee, and then we'll process it and issue you with the certificates the beneficial ownership and all that. There's also something called beneficial ownership. Beneficial ownership are people who have interest in the company's assets and all that, voting rights. Sometimes they are not the same people that register the company. They are behind the company, but you don't see them. They are like shadow directors, but they control the company. So we have a form that you have to fill. It's called BO form. You have to state that the information you are telling us is the same. Sometimes people think the legal shareholders are the same as the BO. Sometimes it's not like that, because somebody is behind who control. You are a shareholder, but you don't have a mouth. Somebody tells you every morning, do this, do that, direct you. So it means that person is the BO. That person is controlling the company. So when you have something like that, you need to let us know and then state it so that the BO forms will be complete. So basically, when you have this requirements, then you can register a company. If it's a sole proprietorship, then basically everything is going to be about that person, that particular individual. Just as I said for company, most of the things will not reflect in the sole proprietorship. With sole proprietorship, basically the name of the company, the nature of business, where the business will be located, the applicant residential address, date of birth, marital status, and then the date of registration basically is done. And then you can have your business name registration done. If it's registration of a partnership, that is 2 up to 20 people coming together to form partnership, then the partnership agreement must be concrete. It must be done well, agreed by all parties, and then they will stamp it at Land Valuation Board. With partnership agreements, or normally partnership registration, it's not common. The reason why it's not common, because the people entering into the partnership have to have understanding of the partnership agreement, because you can't go outside the agreement. Is binding. So if we state that we are partners, and then our office have to be at Mamubi, all partners have to agree that Mamubi. So you will not change the office. Even if you have to change, you have to change it in the partnership agreement. And then if we agree that our bank will be Ghana Commercial Bank, Mamubi, there is no way that one person can even go and open account at Ghana Commercial Bank or GCB, let's say High Street. No, it had to be in the partnership agreement. How we are going to share profit in case of death, in case of any vacancy, sickness, what goes back into coffers of the company, everything have to be arranged. And then you add it to the registration document and register it. Partnership registration is the only registration that the partners' names appear on the certificates. So it's normally registered by chartered accountants. Most professionals prefer partnership. And in the absence of one person, the partnership ceases to exist unless there's a supplementary partnership agreement. And then I also spoke about the charitable organizations, what we call the limited by guarantee, or the non-governmental organizations. So those organizations, their aim is not to make profits, but they can get something to sustain it. But the aim is not to make profit, because basically maybe you've been blessed, you want to help people in society, your community, wherever. You have to help people with education for them to upgrade in life. You want to give them skills or anything. You can do it through this kind of registration. That is the NGO, non-profit or non-governmental NGO is accepted. And then I spoke about the external companies that are registered in other jurisdictions but want to have the liaison office in Ghana. We say that the company needs to have a local manager who the company will give a power of attorney to that local manager. You cannot come and operate. The company that is appointing you, that has prepared these documents, stamp it, will have to add the power of attorney. Sometimes they add the number of years that this manager will head this company in Ghana for the first 4 years. Subsequently, it will be changed. So the local manager can be changed at any time according to how the company wants. Anytime they can revoke that power. It's a power. So it can be revoked at any time. Once the company tells us and bring a new person, we'll register that person as well. So besides that, and then we have the normal limited liability company, whereby you have the aim of making profit that I've explained. And then we have one type called business name subsidiary. We are trying to change the name to corporate business name. So assuming I have a company registered, let's say Mendel's Company Limited, and I want to, for tax purposes and for directions, I want to have another company or another entity under it, maybe a small construction. I can register that type of entity, but it has to be signed by one of the directors or the shareholders of the main company, because we demand the main company name, the main company number on that registration. That's how the forms has been designed, and then the person representing it with the company stamp if necessary, or the seal. So that can also be done for the business name subsidiary. That type of entity is also allowed. So besides, I'm not going to go into public companies, but public company also exists. Public company basically are companies that can make invitation to the general public. So if you want to be a company that you can ask people to come and buy shares, you can ask people to come and contribute into the company, then, and you want to the whole world to know about it, then the company have to be a company, public company. I think not too long ago, MTN became a public company. I think it's quite some time now, and then they turned the Scancom into a public company so that people can deal with them. So recently, our new law, there have been some changes. Section 21 of our new Act 992 states that any company that is registered in Ghana should have a suffix. The suffix is the last ending of the company's name. Let us see what you are doing. It's very, very important for all our listeners and viewers. So if you are registering a company or you are dealing with a company, and the company, we don't want the kind of men's gold and DKM issues again. So if you are dealing with a company, for you to know that the company can make invitation to the general public, then you should know the ending of the company's name. So now when you are dealing with a company, if you're a procurement person, you are entering into contracts, you have to open your eyes. We have stated it, we have given a lot of press releases that companies should change their names because we want to see the surfaces. So let's say if a company is a limited liability, the ending, you can have Kwajo Menu Ltd or Kwajo Menu Limited as in full and then company. Now, by law, these are the only two options. Either your company name will end with Ltd or it will end with limited in full with company. If it is a non-governmental organization, you are going to add it limited by guarantee or LBG. You have to add it. If it's a public company, at the end of the day, we want to see it PU, ending. So the law says that is what has to be done. So that is what we are also accepting. So if you are also doing business and somebody is bringing a registration document, you should know the category where the person falls. So that straight away you know that this company is a company not to make profits. So what kind of contract are they entering with me? You have to be careful and look at the document. That is why we say that it's like everybody have a name. For identity and recognition, we have to make sure that the ending of companies' names are important to us. So I think basically these are the few things that I will let you know, unless there are questions that you want me to answer.
Mrs. Matilda Osei, we're so grateful, and it is well educative. Now to our questions. I have one or two messages I want to read from here. From Amina again. Is it also required for the spouse of a Ghanaian to speak an indigenous language. That is to Madam Abigail, the immigration officer. Is it also required for the spouse of a Ghanaian to speak an indigenous language? Please, this to Madam Abigail. Thank you.
It's no. No. Like I said, when it comes to registration, it's quite simple because we don't want to. I think the framers of the law didn't want to burden um, houses of Ghanaians, with too many requirements. So we just want to ensure that the marriage is genuine, and that's about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Matilda, Abigail. Now, there's another question. What is the cause for the process for citizenship through registration? This goes to Madam Abigail again.
I think
What is
I
the
answered
cause
this.
for?
Yes, I answered
Okay,
this earlier. Yes,
okay.
registration is three. The last time I checked from the ministry is
It's
three
okay,
thousand
300.
cities. No, 3,000 cities, and naturalization.
3,000. Okay,
Yes, 6,000 cities.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Madam. We are still standing by for more questions. So far, this is what I've seen on the screen. And if someone wants to ask, there are lots of comments. After this, you can go to the comment size and then you look at it. So please, yeah. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Please go ahead with your question. Hello. Yeah. If questions are not coming up, then we're going to talk about our wonderful. I want to show appreciation to our wonderful presenters on this August webinar. What I want to emphasize carry on is about the very educative information we've had today. Gather Foundation is here to assure our diasporan citizens and their families that when you come to Ghana to do things alone, it becomes quite cumbersome. Fall on Ghana Foundation and all your problems are solved. Ghana Foundation is there with so many packages for everybody, provided you are legitimate. You've gone through the legal process of our country, Ghana. While citizenship and business shouldn't be a problem, provided you have no criminal background, provided you are coming in with a genuine business idea, you don't have a problem. Just go to our GADA website And trust me, you get the solution and the support or help for any good thing you want to bring to Ghana, or even those already in Ghana. If you are facing any challenges, Ghana Foundation is there to support you. Yeah, as I'm talking, I'm still waiting for your questions, please. So I'm waiting. I don't just want to keep quiet for the whole place to be quiet. So please, come out, be interactive, be sure that you have the legitimate. Okay, let me allow my gentleman Joseph Bequin to give us a contribution. Thank you. Okay. I think he has a question on a business immigration. Mr. Bequin has a question on business immigration. So if Madam Abigail is around, she'll help us with that.
The question is really not clear. I don't know what he means by business immigration. So if he could
My
elaborate,
question
please.
is on business. Okay. Okay.
No, I'm
So,
asking Joseph Bequin to elaborate on his question. What exactly he
okay.
wants to know.
Okay. Okay. So, please, the line is not clear. Hello, Uncle Joseph. Hello. Madam Abi, please, can you hear him?
No, I can't hear.
Okay. 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 Mr. Uncle Joseph. I think the network is becoming a challenge. So please, can I come in, Madam Abigail?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe you want to know with the business aspect for the immigrants, what do they have to do? If I want to speak into what the sentence he just made, that the kind of business they can do, or they have the right for all sort of business in Ghana, or are they limited to some few business they have to do in Ghana as a diaspora citizen?
Well, when it comes to businesses that diasporians can actually engage in, I don't think that is really a domain. Our responsibility is to issue permits to enable foreigners to work efficiently and legally in Ghana. And so usually our considerations would be, or one of the considerations would be, we are calling for investors all the time. So we don't put any um,
Restriction.
limitation on what kind of businesses people would want to do, or foreigners. Apart from what the GIPC Act proscribes, which I believe would be a thing for the GIPC facilitator to even speak more to. we would usually just look at what business you're engaged in, and whether for the position that your letter or your contract letter says, you can't readily find Ghanaians to occupy that position. And once that is answered, you bring in the necessary requirements, pay the statutory fees, and then your permit is issued. There are others who I believe the GIPC facilitator spoke about that. They issue their when they get the quotas from GIPC, that is a kind of work permit. So they bring it to Ghana Immigration, and then we issue them with residence permits. So, but if you apply directly to Ghana Immigration Service for work permits, it's called a work residence permit. So once you apply for your work permit, if it's approved, you don't have to pay another fee. All you need to do is to complete a form for residence permit, and it is issued in your passports. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Thank you, Madam Abby. I think you've done so well for me. I've understood you very well. And this is a general question on behalf of this foundation. I want to ask all my presenters. I want to know if the foundation has the right or your support to act for the diasporan families or citizens. Maybe we have seen their documents and we are okay with them, and we want to partner them in business in Ghana. Can they be outside for us to go through the processes before they come in? Yes, to all of you. Yeah, Madam Abi, can you respond or you give it to any other person?
If you're
Thank
talking
you.
about, so your question is whether you could apply for work permits whilst you're out of the jurisdiction. Is that the question?
I want to know whether GADA Foundation can work on the person's behalf.
Okay, so with Ghana Immigration Service, in fact, ideally, the person, the applicant, or you need to have a work permit before you come into the country. So definitely, if you are not in the country, then there ought to be somebody in Ghana facilitating that for you, because we haven't fully set up our online registration or application processes yet. So then somebody would physically have to come and do the application, submit the necessary documentation, pay the fees, and all of that. So you can do that. It's allowed.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, my dear participants. We are still waiting for your questions and answers. But as we are waiting and no message yet, I would like to continue to advertise or talk about what GEDA Foundation is really interested in. As we all had the theme, dual citizenship, and then dual business, in doing business in Ghana. We are so perfect in doing business, and we have the packages around. We have the human resource, the links, and we also collaborate very well with other institutions who have the perfect solution for you. Now we know Ghanaians, we have a whole lot of messages. We've gotten messages and then comments about how some people have been duped and with their money, their land issues and those things. Come together, foundation, and all these problems will be solved for you. Currently, our main interest is the dual citizenship and then impacting dual citizenship and then doing business in Ghana to improve our economy. For you outside there, all is done for you through Gather Foundation. You are most welcome in advance. Just go to our website, click on the button, and then hashtag. You are on a LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You have a lot to get from our website, and then you go. So, my dear participants and my facilitators, I am so grateful for this wonderful presentation today. And on behalf of the organization, I, Mrs. Cecilia Lajepechianim, the acting manager for the foundation, moderates this wonderful webinar for the day. If you have any question or you have any more interaction, just go to our website or contact our numbers, which will be shown at the end of the whole presentation, to contact us for any assistance. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks for the day. Have a blessed day. Thank you. Hello, I just saw a message from Sharon Rose. Sharon is asking, I am a traveling agent and would like to bring visitors there. How do I go about getting permission? To my dear Abigail. I hope we are there. Is Madam Abigail around? Hello. Okay. So the responses that are the questions that are coming right now, the responses will be posted at the website. So I'll play with our dear ones. You continue with our WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook or for more information. Thank you. I'm off for now. Bye-bye. Oh, as I'll continue to say donations are mostly welcome. As an NGO, we always need our support. So all that we are saying is our stakeholders can even donate to us so that we can also function and support their laudable work. Thank you.